Welcome back to the Walnut. In this session, I'm going to discuss a very important type of question from the topic Surds. Surds are basically irrational numbers expressed in the form a plus root b or a minus root b. That's enough. We don't want to go that much detail concepts related to Surds. Instead, in almost all the aptitude kind of exams, you are facing this kind of questions. So here, the sum of infinite surds successively considering this root expression. For example, the first question is root 30 plus root 30 plus root 30 plus infinite terms. And similarly, this is root 42 minus root 42 minus root 42, etc. infinite terms. In these types of questions, frequently you are getting in your aptitude type of exams. Why? By using some basic tricks, so some tricky approaches or results. Through that way, you can easily reach the conclusions of these all four types of questions. These four questions from four different types. So the first two questions are very basic type questions, and the frequency rate of these two questions and its repetition rate is very high, because you may get these two types of questions frequently in your exams. It's little more advanced level. So let us come to the point here. The first one, root 30 plus root 30 plus etc. infinite terms. What you want to observe whenever you are getting such a kind of question, you just simply observe that actual representing value there. Here that is 30. What you want to check whether that 30 can be expressed as the product of two consecutive natural numbers. 30 can be expressed as the product of two consecutive natural numbers. So how it is possible? Here we know that 30 is nothing but 5 into 6. Got it? So if the given number can be expressed in this way as the product of two consecutive natural numbers, then the second point, if it is the case of a successive addition, what you want to write, you have to conclude the answer for this question is simply the greater among these two factors. Once again, here, 30, first we are observing whether 30 can be expressed as the product of two consecutive natural numbers. Yeah, in this way we can express. And the second point, if it is the case of successive addition, take the largest factor. So then what we can conclude? Here the answer is 6. Similarly, if we are considering the second example, again we are considering whether this 42 can be expressed as the product of two consecutive natural numbers. Yeah, you can easily catch 42 is 6 into 7. What is the slight difference here? It is the case of addition, but the present question is successive subtraction. So a slight difference you have to make in your conclusion. If it is the case of successive subtraction, you have to take the least or the smaller value among these two factors as the answer. So here the answer is again 6. So how we can generalize this concept? Suppose we just consider if k, we are expressing this k as the product of two consecutive natural numbers n into n plus 1. Then what we can conclude at first here, if it is the case of k plus root k plus etc. infinite terms. So as we discussed here, if it is the case of addition, take the larger factor among the given two successive or consecutive factors. So n into n plus 1, you can take n plus 1. That's a larger among them. Similarly, if it is case of subtraction, so that is k minus root k minus etc. infinite terms, what you can conclude? If it is the case of successive subtraction, take the least among the given fractions or the factors. So here, the least factor or the smaller factor among these two factors is n. So this is a very simple trick. Keep these 2 points in your mind. First, you have to observe whether the given quantity expressed as the product of 2 consecutive natural numbers. Second point, whether the given question contains a successive addition or subtraction. If it is the case of successive addition, you have to take the larger factor among the given 2 successive factors. If it is the case of subtraction, you have to take the least factor among or the smaller factor among the given 2 factors. But if you are getting such a kind of question, again we are checking whether the number 10 can be expressed as the product of 2 consecutive natural numbers. No, it is not possible. Then, how we can conclude such a type of question? That's why I mentioned at the initial point that these 2 questions are in advanced level. But these 2 questions, you can easily make the conclusion by using this concept. What is the result or the tricky approach for this type of 2 questions? Here again, it's a plus version, this is a minus version. So I just give you the general result for these types of questions. So in general, if the given set of values is not satisfying such a type of condition, at that time also you can directly approach or apply this result. This is k plus etc. infinite terms. General approach. General in the sense, this result you can apply even in these questions too. So here, the conclusion is very simple. If it is a case of plus, so your answer's first part is 4k plus 1. Then, if it is addition, successive addition, just add 1 to this value. This is 4k plus 1 all divided by 2. So, while observing this question, you can conclude this with the help of this data. So, root of 10 plus root of 10 plus etc. infinite terms. So, what we can conclude here, this is 4 into 10. Root of 4 into 10 plus 1. This is successive addition. Therefore, take the plus value here, whole divided by 2. So, what is the conclusion? This is root 41 plus 1 by 2. So, this is the easiest way for concluding this type of questions. And now you got the required slight variation or the change for this kind of successive subtraction operations. So we can consider that as a general result here. This is root of k minus root of k minus etc. infinite terms. So what's the conclusion here? So slight difference only in the second part of this operation. The first part is root of 4k plus 1, then minus 1. Here in this case that was plus 1, but here this is minus 1 whole divided by 2. So by using this result here, this will be 4 into 8 plus 1 minus 1 divided by 2. So this is root 33 minus 1 by 2. Got it? So this is the simple way of approach towards such type of infinite sum questions. So just keep the results in your mind. So these two are general result for any type of values. If you are substituting instead of k, you just substitute 30. We'll get the same answer here. But whenever you are getting the questions in the simple version, that means that the values can be expressed as the product of two consecutive natural numbers, then you don't want to go for such a kind of generalized result. Instead, you can directly check this possibility. And if it is the case of successive addition, take the largest value. If it is case of subtraction, take the smaller value. Clear? So this is the basic trick. So whenever you will get such a type of question, you can follow this time-saving kind of approach. Keep these results in your mind. Thanks for watching.